everyone, how are you all doing? Now today I have got the week 2 championship predictions coming for you. There are quite a few draws that I've predicted in this one, but hopefully it will be a good game week and hopefully there'll be lots of goals. And so starting off with the Friday night, we've got Birmingham City up against Huddersfield Town. Both sides last week didn't really have the best week. Huddersfield coming up against Burnley in the first match of the championship. It was always going to be tough for them, but they were quite poor in that match, allowing Burnley just to take control of the game, and only having 2 shots throughout the whole game with none on target. That's not good enough for Huddersfield, but Burnley is a more tougher test compared to Birmingham. Birmingham against Luton Town, we weren't brilliant. Ruddy in goal was absolutely fantastic. We got a point thanks to him. If it wasn't for him, then it would have been quite a heavy loss, you'd think, with the way which Luton were playing. But in this one, I think it'll be quite an even match. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And so Norwich versus Wigan. This one's going to be quite a one-sided game, I think. Norwich, they lost 1-0 to Cardiff last time out. They'll want to come back to get a win. And I think they will do that. Norwich, they got a red card last game. Grant Hanley getting a red card in the 85th minute, a second yellow. But I don't think that will affect them too much. I think Wigan Athletic, I think they will just be... I don't think they'll have enough against Norwich. And I think they will be battered in this one. But I think Wigan will still fight and they will still try and attack. But I think Norwich will just have too much for them, and I'm going to go 4-1 to Norwich. I do think that Norwich will come back and will try to get the win in this one. As for Swansea up against Blackburn, this one will be an interesting one. 2 sides where last week scored an incredible goal each. Harry Darling for Swansea up against Rotherham United. What a shot that was from outside the box, and we've spoken about him a bit this season so far, and I've said about him being an exciting player. Wasn't too sure what to expect from him yet, but I think he will go on and just be better from now after seeing that goal against Rotherham. Blackburn Rovers against QPR, Lewis Travis, what a goal that was as well. I mean, keeper's never saving that, is he? If you watch the highlight, you'll know what I'm talking about, and what a goal it is to win the game 1-0 for Blackburn. But in this one, I'm going to go on the edge. I'm going to go for 1-1 draw. As for Bristol City up against Sunderland, this one will be an interesting one. Bristol City, they were really unlucky against Hull, conceding a penalty, which wasn't a penalty, it was a dive. That's annoying enough. But then in the 90th minute to concede a deflected goal, which was quite an odd one, really. I mean, that must be really annoying. Against Sunderland, where drawing against Coventry, that's a good result. But I think they were unlucky in that game. They went ahead early on and then had a few more chances. Coventry had a few chances to get back themselves, but then it looked like Sunderland, it would go their way until around the 80th minute, where Coventry managed to get an equaliser. And then from there, the game ends 1-1. But I think Sunderland will take a point against Coventry. And I think the way which they played, they should be pleased with that. And going in against Bristol City, I think it will be quite an evenly matched game. And I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. As for Burnley up against Luton, myself going to watch the Luton match up against Birmingham. Luton were all over us throughout pretty much the whole 90 minutes. There were chances where Birmingham managed to have chances, but really we didn't put them under enough pressure, and Luton kept on firing and attacking, but they just couldn't find a way to score. Nathan Jones said in the post-match interview that his team lacked sharpness, and yeah, I agreed with that nearer to the end. But I think up against Burnley against Huddersfield Town, they did look good. They looked promising. Scott Twine, when he came on with that free kick which hit the post, did look like an exciting player. But I think for Burnley, the thing which they've got to do is make sure they pass the ball around. Blues didn't do that against Luton, and ultimately did not look like a strong side at all. So if Burnley just pass the ball around, I think that is Luton's weakness. And yeah, just pass the ball and make a run. That should work for them. But we'll see how Luton do in this one against Burnley. I'll go with a 1-1 draw here. So QPR up against Middlesbrough, and one which I haven't predicted a draw, you'll be pleased to know. QPR, they were unlucky against Blackburn, conceding a goal from Lewis Travis, which was a really nice goal to be fair, but one which maybe you shouldn't be conceding. They just allowed him to shoot, and that could maybe be another issue against Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough, I didn't watch the match, but listening to it on the radio on the way back from Luton, they seemed to control a lot of the first half, and then once West Brom got the goal in the second half, they seemed to start to stop their pressure and all of a sudden allowed West Brom to play their football. And I think maybe if QPR get a goal here, that could be the same. But I'm not too sure. I think Middlesbrough will score first, and I think that they will keep putting on pressure on QPR. For this one, I'll go 2-1 to Middlesbrough. So Reading up against Cardiff. This one will be an interesting one. Cardiff against Norwich weren't expected to get anything out of it, and they came away with 3 points from Romain Sawyers' shot. Which was it a shot? Was it a pass? You don't really know. But I think Cardiff, they did play well against Norwich City, although Perry Ng got a red card, so he'll be out for this match. But against Reading, against Blackpool, they were not great. They allowed Blackpool to have their chances and in the end lost 1-0. But I think it could have been more than 1-0 with the way which they were going. Paul Ince, he doesn't convince me as a manager, and I do fear for Reading. But in this one, yeah, I think Reading will go with 2 losses to start the season. Cardiff will go with 2 wins, I think. And I'll go with 1-0 Cardiff. Sheffield United up against Millwall. This one will be an even match, I think. Sheffield United against Watford. Not the best performance, but certainly not a bad performance. Was the referee in the way of the corner? Maybe. I'm not too sure. A bit controversial, that one. And then João Pedro goes up the other end and scores. Millwall, their corners, they look dangerous from them, but they lost to Cambridge on Tuesday, which I didn't really know too much about that match. I haven't seen anything about that match, so I'm not going to read too much into it. But I think Millwall, their corners, they do look threatening from that. Against Stoke, we saw that. And I think they will use that again to maybe pull Sheffield United back just a little bit further. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw in this one. I think Millwall, with their set pieces, I think that they will do well in this one. Stoke up against Blackpool should be an interesting one. I've gone with Stoke maybe to not have such a great start to the season, just like they did a few seasons ago where they only came away with 1 point in 7 matches or whatever it was. Against the Blackpool side, who managed to get a win against Reading, maybe not the most surprising result. They did play well in that one against Reading, who have been predicted to struggle this season. But I think up against Stoke, I think they will start off, just like I said, one of those seasons where maybe they won't pick up as many points at the start of the season. Blackpool, I think they will come away with a win here. A scrappy 1-0 win I'm going to go with. Preston North End up against Hull City will be an interesting one. Hull against Bristol City were very lucky to get the win there. I spoke about it when I was talking about Bristol City, but to win a penalty like that, it's not right, is it? You can't dive like that. And unfortunately for Bristol City fans, the referee didn't see it. And then the deflected shot as well. I mean, how lucky can you get? Whether they'll be that lucky in this game, I'm not too sure. But up against Preston, where on Sunday, a year ago on Sunday, Preston would have lost 4-1 to Hull, and that's who they're playing on Saturday. And so it should be interesting to see how both of these sides play. But I think I'll go with a draw on this one. I'll go 1-1. So Coventry City going up against Rotherham United. Rotherham against Swansea, they score from the long throw, and I think that they have another chance at the long throw as well, which was saved by the goalkeeper. So Rotherham United, the long throw looks dangerous for them and looks like it will work. But against Coventry, who against Sunderland probably weren't the best that they could have been, but I think Sunderland, they were strong in that match. and Coventry able to get a point at the Stadium of Light. It's not going to be easy going there this season, and so fair play to them managing to come away with a point. Against Rotherham, where I'll be honest, I didn't think that they'd get anything against Swansea, but they managed to get a point. Maybe they'll be confident going into this one, but I think Coventry may just prove a bit too much for them. I'll go 2-0 to Coventry. So West Brom going up against Watford. This will be an interesting one. West Brom against Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough seem to control the first half, and then in the second half, West Brom get a goal early on, and then from there, West Brom seem to have more of the chances. But unfortunately for them, they just can't put the ball into the back of the net. Against Watford, who I'm not too sure what's going to happen in this game with Watford. They got a bit fortunate with the goal against Sheffield United on Monday, and whether they can maybe get anything from this match, I'm not too sure. I'm going to go 2-1 to West Brom. And so there we go. Those are my Championship Week 2 predictions. Just to let you know, the Luton versus Birmingham match, I don't know why the comments are turned off. I haven't turned them off. It's just automatically done that. So hopefully with the Birmingham versus Huddersfield match, comments will be back. But I can't guarantee anything at the moment. So I apologise if they are off. In any of my match vlogs, I always try to turn them on, but sometimes they just have to be off due to YouTube policy, I think. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it has to happen. But thank you all very much for watching, and keep right on, everyone.